Conservative new media viewers, LA Lakers fans around the world, and JLin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFA Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss in a long video format the Lakers' 93-80 loss tonight to the San Antonio Spurs at Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. With a defeat, the Lakers fall to 1-8 on the season. The Spurs improved to 5-3 with the victory. Quickly, stats: Tim Duncan, 13 points, 11 rebounds. Corey Joseph off the bench for the Spurs, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. For the Lakers, Carlos Boozer led the way, 19 points and 8 rebounds. Jordan Hill, 10 points, 11 rebounds. And Jeremy had 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Kobe had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, but he shot only 1 of 14 from the field. A quick overview of the game was that the Lakers couldn't make shots. Their offense was really bogged down, and apparently Kobe was sick, or that's the rumor going around, or the word that's out there. And playing a good defensive team, a disciplined defensive team, without Kobe being able to generate much offense, the team just couldn't get it going on the offensive. And they actually held the Spurs to a decent point total on the Lakers' defense, but the Lakers shot just 37% from the field, and it just wasn't enough. They held the Spurs to only 41% shooting, but the Spurs were able to hit 10 3-pointers, and the Lakers only hit 2. And that was pretty much the difference in this game in a lot of ways. Lakers rebounded pretty well. They turned the ball over 13 times, which is that's pretty good, actually. That's not bad. So it was more the offense than anything else. The 1-8 start for the Lakers is the worst start in franchise history, and that includes Los Angeles and when they were in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Ronnie Price missed the game because he was suspended by the NBA for one game because of the incident with Austin Rivers in the New Orleans Pelicans game. Ronnie kind of hit him with the forearm in the forehead of Austin Rivers. Wayne Ellington is still out dealing with the tragic death of his father. And Ryan Kelly did return for this game, though, and that will help in time because he's an excellent shooter. Also, there is word that Swaggy P, Nick Young, may be returning next week, which certainly would be a good thing because the Lakers need him and his offense back. Also, there's word that the Lakers are working out Quincy Miller, a forward, and a center that I can't remember his name right now. Majok, I think his last name is M-A-J-O-K. I believe that's correct. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Jeremy. Again, with Kobe, he didn't look right from the beginning. I didn't know, there was no word on him before the game that he was feeling ill, so it just didn't know what it was. But what you could see with him throughout the entire contest was he just looked tired. He had no lift in his legs, and it makes sense that he could be sick. That's what he looked like. He just had no energy, essentially. Now, Jeremy came into this game averaging 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists in his last 8 games against the Spurs, which is a stat I put up on Twitter. So he came very close to hit those averages in this game with the 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Overall, for Jeremy in this game, I liked the way that he played. He played well. He shot the ball pretty well. He was aggressive. He was confident. The only thing I would say from this game was he had a couple turnovers. But 2 of the turnovers, and I'll talk about them in a second, 2 of the turnovers were against Kawhi Leonard, who's really difficult to deal with when he's looking to steal the ball from you. He's just very, very good at that. And so it'd be great if it didn't happen, but in the future, if Jeremy's matched up against Kawhi Leonard, I think it'll happen less. I just don't think Jeremy was aware of how good Kawhi Leonard is at stealing the ball when he wants to steal the ball. The other turnover came late in the game when the game was already out of hand, and Jeremy was trying to make a play. He was trying to change the momentum a little bit of the game. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm not – statistically, it doesn't look great because he had 4 assists and 3 turnovers, which is close to like a 1-to-1 ratio, which is not – you're looking for more like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1. But it's I'm okay with those turnovers. I understand why they happened. So other than that, he played a good game. He played a solid game, and I thought his defense was good, even though I looked up the stats for the game. You get an offensive rating and defensive rating, and it was a little bit stilted. Jeremy was negative. Basically, his offensive rating was below his defensive rating. But personally, I thought he played good defense throughout this game. He was more efficient in the game than Tony Parker was, who was, of course, the point guard he was matched up against. Jeremy's efficiency for the game was 15, and Tony Parker's efficiency for the game was 14, although Tony played, I think, 7 fewer minutes than Jeremy did. So per minute, Tony was slightly more efficient than Jeremy was, but Jeremy held his own, which we've seen him do with Tony Parker before. So that's not really a surprise. Now, quickly, we can go over Jeremy's stats. I said he's 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 38 minutes played, shot 5 of 11 from the field, including 1 of 3 from three-point range, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 steal, no blocks, 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. His plus-minus was a -6, which was the best among all the starters. So that's kind of an overlay of his statistics. Let's talk a little bit here then about the quarter by quarter. Again, I'm not going to go through everything, but this video is getting up late because I was tired after the game. I fell asleep. Jeremy scored early in the first quarter. He had a really, really nice crossover move, going left to right, dribbling from his left hand, going to his right hand, and dribbling from basically like the left side of the top of the key, going to his right. He just basically left Tony Parker in the dust, and went for a layup. That was a really nice move, and the Lakers announcers were like, wow, it looked like Tony Parker was nailed to the floor. He couldn't move. And Jeremy continues to improve on his one-on-one moves. And that's really important for him to be able to become a consistent offensive option. Byron Scott has mentioned recently that the team doesn't have a consistent number 2 scoring option and a consistent number 3 scoring option. So for Jeremy to be able to be that, he obviously needs to be consistent, which has been a criticism of him before. And the more that he's able to expand his offensive repertoire, the more he'll be able to be that role. The more he will be able to be more consistent offensively, and the more he can be relied upon to be a scorer. We know Jeremy can get to the basket, and he could score on that as well as almost anybody in the league in a lot of ways. What's going to help Jeremy to round out his game offensively, continue to work on his shooting in all respects, catch and shoot, shooting off the dribble, shooting from three-point range, shooting from here, floaters, and working on these perimeter one-on-one moves, whether it's driving to the basket or whether it's setting up a guy so you can get your jump shot off. And he continues to do that. He's doing that We're seeing that. And sometimes it doesn't look great. Like in the first Phoenix game where he isolated against Eric Bledsoe on the left baseline and he missed that little turnaround. It didn't look that great. Sometimes it looks amazing, like the move he put on Tony Parker here, or like the step back jump shot that he did against Damian Lillard in the preseason. This is something that's going to take more and more time. And I said on Twitter earlier today, a lot of people have been down on Jeremy recently, which I don't even understand that. What's important to realize with him, he's not a finished product as a player. He still has a lot of development to do, which makes sense given that he's only had really 2 summers to work on his game. And since he's come into the NBA, 2 summers with information that's relevant to be able to work on his game. First year he played with Golden State. Well, he didn't play much, and he didn't know what he had to work on. And he said this himself, according to him. The next summer, he was recovering from the knee injury after he had Linsanity in New York, and then he hurt his knee. He had to have knee surgery. So that takes you into 2012 summer. So the last 2 summers, 2013, 2014, are the first 2 summers he's really had to work at his craft as a professional at the NBA level. And we've seen massive improvements. 3-point shooting, dribbling, using his left hand on dribbling and on finishing layups, working on floaters, working on defensive stance, various things. He's worked on everything, working on fewer turnovers, but he still needs more time. Jeremy right now he's 26 years old. My guess is that you're going to see, as long as he remains healthy, is that we won't see the best of Jeremy until he's like 28 or 29. He still needs a significant amount of skill development, and which is normal. I mean, you take somebody like Steve Nash. Steve Nash didn't peak as a player until probably, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s. It takes time. And it can take longer for point guards because they have more information to process. They have to be able to do more. And you're taking somebody like Jeremy, who came, in a lot of ways, it came out of nowhere, coming out of the Ivy League as a shooting guard. Now he has to play point guard. He missed a couple summers, or he wasn't able to really improve because he didn't know what to do, and then he was hurt. And he was diminished in Houston. So his confidence got pushed back, kind of wanted to put him into the little mold of a bench player and like an energy offensive guy. So now he's got to get, everything's got to get up to speed. And it's going to take time, and which is completely understandable. But what I said yesterday on Twitter, everybody expects like he's going to do insanity immediately. The situation's not right for that. He's playing with Kobe Bryant, who's going to have the ball a lot. The offense is not set up for heavy pick and rolls with the floor spread out, which is basically what Linsanity was in Mike D'Antoni's system. So there's not as much space for him to operate. Teams are more ready for him, and they can slow him down if they need to, with like double teaming him coming off of pick and rolls. And he's, during Linsanity in New York, as good as Jeremy was, there were still things that he wasn't good at. He wasn't as good of a shooter. He wasn't as good with his left hand. So Linsanity wasn't a fluke. I mean, anybody that listens to my videos know I don't believe that. But there's still a lot of things that you didn't see during it in terms of skills that Jeremy needs to develop. Now, if you put him in a Mike D'Antoni system with the right personnel, could he do Linsanity again right now? Absolutely. He could do it even better. But when you put him in a different system with different personnel, there are still aspects of his game that he can improve and that he will improve and that he needs to improve to be able to do Linsanity type things consistently in whatever system he's in. Not just Mike D'Antoni, pick and roll, spread the floor. The thing is this, though. The NBA as a whole, as a league, is going more towards the Mike D'Antoni system. So if Jeremy was playing the NBA maybe 10 years from now, probably you'd see almost all the teams or most of them running that system. But we're not quite there yet. And so it's a shame for Jeremy. But I like the improvements that he's making. He's clearly improving. I know people get caught up in the losses, or maybe they didn't like Jeremy's stats in a particular game, or they didn't think he shot enough. He's improving. And honestly, he's improving pretty rapidly. He's adapting to a new system, a new coach, new teammates. He's getting beyond the Houston PTSD and all the confidence ding that happened to him. He's adapting to all that pretty quickly, honestly. I mean, from a macro or global perspective, he's integrating things pretty fast. What I liked about him tonight in this game, and they went to the whole, and somebody asked me on Twitter the other day, hey, why are you only talking about the last two road games? Because I was trying to talk about how much he had improved. The reason why I'm talking about it is because the announcers they're still talking about this home versus road nonsense. Like, he's so much better at home, with the implication being, maybe he's mentally weak and he's not as good on the road. No, that's improving. And it's not an issue for Jeremy. Jeremy doesn't get affected by a road crowd. That doesn't mean anything to him. It's just it's been more of a circumstantial thing, like back-to-backs, the second of the back-to-backs on a road, etc. If you look at where things are for him overall, he's definitely getting better. His shooting percentages are getting up. His confidence is clearly rising. He's getting more comfortable with everything in the Lakers system and his teammates. He's just improving. His turnovers are going down. So I would tell fans of Jeremy, don't get caught up in the wins and losses. This team is injured. They're not super talented. Some people would say that Byron Scott's maybe not the best coach. So everything's not necessarily perfect here. Kobe's going to shoot the ball a lot. Focus on Jeremy and what he's doing. That's what I'd tell people. And as I said in earlier videos, the goal for Jeremy on a team like this, if the team isn't going to be very good, work on your own individual skills. Try to get the statistics that you need, not in a selfish way, but in a smart way. Don't take a bunch of bad shots, and continue to progress as a player. And for the fans, look for the improvements. How poised does Jeremy look? How confident does he look? How's his shooting doing? How's his turnovers doing? Is he making a really good percentage on his free throws? These types of things. don't get caught up in the wins and losses. I know if the team doesn't win a lot, then it doesn't reflect well on Jeremy, but there's teams like this every single year. They're just not very good. And players on the team still have to develop as players. They still have to become the best players they can be and not get caught up in the losing or anything that comes with that. I think Jeremy's doing fantastic with this. I'm very happy with where things are at for him. Really happy. He's, the fourth game or something in a row where he scored double digits. Everything's progressing. Everything. And his defensive stats don't look that good so far this year. He's playing good defense. He played good defense in this game. Really good. So I like it. He had a little bit of trouble later in the game when he was guarding Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph's super fast. He might even be faster than Jeremy is. And so that wasn't a big thing. Jeremy did a very good job against Tony Parker. And if you noticed in this game, like happens in so many games, Tony Parker did better when Jeremy was out of the game. Why? Because Jeremy will hound you and chase you down and block your shot. Guys get afraid of that. So when he's out of the game, it makes things a little bit easier. Okay, let's go back here to the game action. So he scored that play. This was early in the game. That was first thing, and it was just a terrific move. As I said, the announcers loved it, and it looked great. I mean, it was like, whoa, one of those types of plays. Then Jeremy forced Tony Parker into a total brick floater shot. It just, again, he was all on him. He had a number of blown assists again in this game. You pass the ball to somebody and they miss the shot. If they make the shot, you get an assist. So his assist totals are down. And they would be up higher if people were making more shots. That's just, if you play with better players or better shooters, then your numbers will go up. When Ryan Kelly's more integrated into the offense and from the injury, when Nick Young comes back, some of those jumpers are going to be made. And so Jeremy's assist numbers will rise. Then I put tough defense. Tony Parker made a nice little move against Jeremy and got a scoop layup going from right to left, the right-hand side of the basket going to left. That is a play where it's called using the rim as a shield. What that means is if you're concerned about somebody blocking your shot, you often do a reverse layup because the rim is in the way of the shot blocker. Now, for players at the height of Tony Parker and JLin, that doesn't come into play as much. It's more of a thing for taller guys because basically you can't jump and put your arm through the rim, which means that there's more space for the offensive player to get his shot off. But it still is a thing. It still can be a bit of a thing, even if you're at the height of those guys. It's just an angle thing. And so it was a smart play by Tony Parker. Then Jeremy had his second blown assist already of the game. I made a note that says JLin confident, poised, and aggressive. Soon after that, and this is all still early first, Jeremy drew a charge on Kawhi Leonard. So he was being aggressive on defense as well. Jeremy looked to take a number of charges in this game. And, of course, a charge is where you as a defensive player are set or you have established your position, and then the offensive player runs into you. And you're allowed to have a position. And so if the offensive player violates that illegally, then they get a charge. Jeremy taking charges is a pretty easy way to tell when somebody's playing aggressive defensively because it's painful. It hurts to get run into hard by big guys. So I liked that Jeremy was really energetic on defense. He was looking to make these plays. And that shows you somebody that's engaged mentally on defense, and that's really good. Then Jeremy hit his only three-pointer of the game. It was about 45 degrees right at the top of the arc, and he caught a pass and drilled the shot. It was nice. And then the announcers did oh yeah, Jeremy's so aggressive at home. We need him to be more aggressive on the road. It's like, oh man, come on. This is, as I said, look, we're slowly pushing down the fake narratives that have become established a bit in Lakers land. And this is one of these final ones. First it was, well, should Jeremy start? No, maybe Ronnie should start for defense. And then, well, Jeremy's really not playing that well. Yeah, maybe Jeremy should be benched. Those have been pushed away. This is one of the final ones here. Well, yeah, it is. The home versus road fake narrative. And then Jeremy as a consistent number 2 scoring option or number 3 scoring option. That's not really a fake narrative, though. That's something he has to work on. But again, we've already we've played 9 games. We've already gotten past the whole should Jeremy really start stuff. So, okay. As he continues to perform consistently on the road, then the road fake narrative will fade away, and then we'll just keep going. I said, we're already moving well here, and we're only a few weeks into the season. So I like where Jeremy is at. Jeremy then, middle of the first, he missed a shot. He drove past his man. It was a nice move. He went for a layup, but the layup hit the bottom of the rim. There was a very small portion of space for Jeremy to work in, and he tried to sneak the ball in past the big man, but he didn't have the angle basically. But it was a good aggressive play. Then I made a note that said Kobe's legs look weak. So again, I did not know that Kobe was sick, and I was just like, oh man, you could just tell something was wrong with him. And I was, I'm not happy that he's sick. If he's supposedly sick, but I'm a lot happier that he's sick than his legs just are kind of fading. Because Kobe has so much mileage on him. He's played so many minutes. 5th in NBA history. You never know when a player like that is just going to kind of fade. And so I was scared. I'm like, oh man, I hope this isn't that point for Kobe, but fortunately it's not. Then Jeremy had his first assist to Carlos Boozer for a layup. Very nice play between the two of them. Then Jeremy missed his second shot. He went for a layup in transition, and he wanted a foul, and he did not get it. So the shot went awry because Jeremy was working hard to get the referee to call a foul. Jeremy came out of the game late in the first, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and scores 19-13 Spurs at that time. And Byron wanted to rest him. I think Jeremy played the most minutes on the Lakers tonight with 38. And that was because Ronnie was not able to play this game. So he needed to rest Jeremy at strategic times. And so I can definitely understand why Byron Scott did that. Okay, moving on to the second. Jeremy's second assist. Excellent drive on the right side of the basket. Drive, draw, and dish. Got past his man. Drew the big man's defender to him. Passed the ball to Ed Davis for a dunk. Just a terrific thing. Then he had 2 more blown assists. And then in the middle of the second quarter is when he had the 2 turnovers against Kawhi Leonard. The first one, Jeremy made a crossover move, and Kawhi just timed it and stripped the ball. And then on the next sequence, I believe, then Kawhi stripped Jeremy again when I think Jeremy was just standing with the ball there, and Jeremy wanted a foul call. He felt like Kawhi hit him on the arm, and he didn't get it. But that was it. So that was a little quick turnover bundle. And again, this is basically Jeremy meets Kawhi Leonard as a defender. Kawhi Leonard's a small forward. He's not going to defend Jeremy Lin very much unless Jeremy gets on a roll and San Antonio feels like they need to put a defensive stopper on him, which is what Kawhi Leonard is. Kawhi's an outstanding athlete. He's built like a Greek statue. He's has very long arms, and he has gigantic hands. His hands are like ridiculously big. He's one of the guys that it's surprising what he's able to do in terms of like stripping the ball. You're not used to it because there's very few people in the league that can do it like he can. In fact, in a game like last week, he stripped the ball from Chris Paul late in the game, which was critical, and he stripped the ball from Jamal Crawford, who has a tremendous ball handling ability. People are like, wow, I didn't think anybody could actually steal the ball from Jamal Crawford. So this isn't Jeremy's bad here. It's Kawhi's incredibly good. And unfortunately for Jeremy, Kawhi Leonard was guarding him on 2 consecutive plays, and he stripped the ball both times. But the good thing for Jeremy is that didn't happen for the rest of the game. So once that happens to you, you make adjustments. So Jeremy had the 2 Kawhi Leonard strips, and then very shortly after that, he had 2 missed field 3-pointers. So I was like, uh-oh. I hope the confidence for Jeremy doesn't dip here because he's had like 4 negative plays in a very short period of time. But he didn't. And that's one of the things that he has to work on. J-Lin Articles and Facts was talking to me on Twitter, and she was saying, Paul, why are you talking about Jeremy having to improve his mental game? You know, are you saying that like, oh, he's mentally weak? No, I'm not saying he's mentally weak. He's actually quite mentally strong. It's when I say the mental game, it's he can lose confidence at times. A lot of that is because of the Houston nonsense, in my opinion. The other thing about Jeremy, or one of the other things, that he's very, very hard on himself. He's like unbelievably hard on himself. And so you just have to be able to let it go. Like some guys, they don't even care. They can miss 10 shots in a row and they hand them the ball and they'll shoot it again. And so Jeremy needs a little bit more of that thinking to him. This is what Kobe said in one of the interviews earlier in the season where he was talking about Jeremy, and he said Jeremy needs to have more of the F it attitude. Just screw it, whatever. And so that's part of what I want for him. Not that he's mentally weak, he thinks a lot, because he's smart. And as I mentioned before, LeBron does the same thing, and he had to work on it. So I was concerned with those 4 plays not in a row or very closely spaced together that he might drop his confidence level, but he really didn't. He didn't, and that's a sign of improvement. That's a sign of improvement. What's important for Lin fans to understand is when you look at Linsanity in New York, Jeremy had so much confidence. Nobody was ready for him. He had a perfect situation in terms of offensive scheme with Mike D'Antoni. The teammates were totally bought in, the guys that were actually playing, not the stars that were hurt. The city loved it. And Jeremy's confidence just went out of the universe, sky high. So there wasn't a tremendous amount of adversity there, which, I mean, that's good. He needed that, and he deserved it, and he made it happen for himself. But now with the Houston time, there's been all this adversity and doubting and dissing and all this. So because of Jeremy's temperament, because of how he processes information, he's got to be able to navigate the down periods better. And if you've listened to Jeremy's testimonies, he's talked about how he'd be so upset after games, and he was so stressed out, and pregame jitters. So now he still has the insanity ability in him, but now he's got to get his mind tuned into the right frequency to be able to access it consistently. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say the mental game. Every athlete, every performer in anything, whatever you do, whatever your job is, whatever you have to find the right state of mind to be able to perform at an optimum level. And so that's what I mean by the mental game. Again, when I say Jeremy, hey, maybe work with a sports psychologist, it's not because Jeremy's messed up. It's how do we get Jeremy to 100% efficiency mentally? That's it. And look, I mean, there's a lot of variables. Jealous teammates, haters around the league, hater fans. So it's not all Jeremy's thing. He's got to deal with and weed out a whole bunch of external factors as well, which he's doing better and better, which he's talked about. He used to want to prove everybody wrong. Now I'm not listening to any of that. I'm not on social media. Good, because then you have less to filter. So he's getting there. And this was a very good demonstration of him being mentally resilient or forgetful in a good way, or whatever you want to put it. And so again, these are the types of things that I would encourage Lin fans to examine and feel positive about. Don't always judge Jeremy on the Linsanity time period in New York, because then it's hard to live up to that. Again, not that we don't think he can do it. We know he can do it, and it can and will happen again. But let's look at, he has to improve globally to be able to do that in different situations. And that's what I want him to be able to do, and that's what he's working to do. But if as a fan, if you don't understand that, if you don't know that, then when he is making improvements, you won't see it, because you'll be like, well, it doesn't matter to you because you think he's invulnerable insanity man constantly, and he's not. Again, not that he's not that player, but you have to see the total development of him as a player and as a person. And he's really getting there. So, and look, as I said, in Houston was good for him in a lot of ways, in the sense that he learned about the politics of basketball and the junk that does go on, that shouldn't go on. But he also learned to play in a different system and work on his three-pointers and do different things. So this is all building for him. It's improving. And as I said, if we can see Jeremy Lin in a realistic light, then you can be happy with the progress that's being made. Again, not in a realistic light like Kevin McHale saying Jeremy's accepted his role, that nonsense, but in a realistic light, like there are still things to be done here so that he can be fulfilling his potential to the utmost, and that's what he's doing. So right after that, Jeremy drew a foul. Jeremy committed a foul against Corey Joseph where Jeremy tried to take a charge. So again, he was being aggressive here. I thought it was a charge on Corey Joseph, but the referees called it a block on Jeremy. But again, I like the assertiveness on defense. Then soon after that, Jeremy scored again. I believe Jeremy was cutting to the basket, and Kobe found him on a pass, and Jeremy got a nice little right-handed layup. So, like I said, he didn't get caught up in that little tough stretch. Turnover, missed three-pointer. Okay, let's move on, which you should do. Try to take a charge, and then score again. And that's it. Move on to the next play. Just move on, positive or negative. Just don't let your confidence get down. And look, I know a lot of people aren't happy about Byron Scott and how he's coaching. Give Byron Scott credit for this. He's kept Jeremy as a starter, and he lets Jeremy play through tough stretches, which didn't happen a lot with Kevin McHale, in my opinion. So that's helping Jeremy a lot. That's what Kobe said, talking about you don't have to look over your shoulder constantly. So give Byron Scott credit for that. That's good, and it's working. Jeremy is being able to do that. This is the empowering that Jeremy Lin talked about that the Lakers are giving to him. So great. Yeah, then late in the second, the announcers did the whole Lin home versus road stuff, which is just, like I said, look, we'll walk down the fake narratives one by one, and that'll go soon enough. Then Jeremy had his 5th blown assist of the game. And then Tim Duncan, who is a terrific, I personally have him as a top 5 all-time player at this time, got his 25,000th career point late in the second, so that was nice to see. Okay, early in the third, something that also should be considered when you talk about Jeremy's assist totals, there are blown assists, and there are also would-be assists that become free throws. He passed the ball to Carlos Boozer early in the third for a layup, but Carlos was fouled on the play. So Jeremy doesn't get an assist, even though Carlos Boozer got free throws and scored on them. So that's also something to be considered when it's, the assists aren't that much. Well, they would have been one more if Carlos wasn't fouled right there. So that's something also to keep in mind. Then the announcer was talking about how Byron Scott has said that the team is looking for consistent number 2 scoring option and number 3 scoring option. That's what we said. Jeremy's working to be able to be that, and he's showing he can be that more and more recently with these back-to-back or whatever double-digit scoring games. Then Jeremy committed a foul on Tony Parker going to the hoop. It was a nice play. It was basically Tony Parker would have had an easy layup. So Jeremy fouled him. And this is, again, about being aggressive on defense. That's a smart foul. If you know the guy's going to get it, make him earn it from the free throw line. Then Jeremy had his 3rd assist of the game, passed it to Jordan Hill for a made jump shot from the free throw line area. Jeremy then scored for the 4th time in the game. He hit a little free throw line extended to the right. So basically, if you drew the free throw line out going towards the right, he hit a nice little shot there. And that brought the score to 54-47 Spurs, and the Spurs were forced to take a timeout because the Lakers were making a run. Then the announcer showed a replay of Carlos Boozer and JLin struggling a little bit on pick-and-roll defense. This is something that the Lakers have trouble with. I believe it's more of Boozer's fault in that situation, but they were talking about how Jeremy could do things a little bit differently as well. So, look, they have to keep working on that. And on a team with a new coach and new teammates, you're going to get some miscommunications on defense, and hopefully that will get better as the season goes along. And, again, they played pretty good defense in this game. And the Spurs didn't score a whole bunch. The Lakers just didn't have enough offense. Okay, moving into the middle of the third, Jeremy got his 4th assist to Carlos Boozer for a nice little cutting layup. So their chemistry is improving. And then I put that Jeremy is working hard to distribute the ball. He's really focused on getting everybody involved. So people wonder why are his field goal attempts so low? Because he's trying hard to pass the ball around. And remember, this offense is new. You might not have the most skilled players at some of the positions. And so Jeremy's working to help guys get confidence in the offensive system. Guys like Wesley Johnson, guys like Jordan Hill. And I respect that. Now, if you're passing the ball to guys and they don't make shots, then you don't look that great. But Jeremy's doing the right thing in terms of, as a point guard, the old school point guard, or what people would call the pure point guard, is a passer much more than a scorer. If you look at somebody like John Stockton or even Magic, the function of the point guard in the past was always you get the ball to other people before you look for your own shot. Now it's become more of a thing where the point guard can also look for his own shot a lot, and guys like Russell Westbrook. But traditionally it's more of a passing role. And so Jeremy's trying to do more of that. And I think that's great. It's going to help the team. And when guys start to make shots or different guys come in that shoot better, Jeremy's assists are going to go up. So I know people want him to shoot more, but you can look very good without scoring a lot if you have a bunch of assists. Your PER goes up, everything. So I'm okay with that. I am. That's something that Jeremy's gotten a bad rap or another fake narrative the last few years that, he's really a shooting guard. He's not really. He's a shooting guard playing point guard. And what that means is, he doesn't pass that well, or he's not passing enough. Well, no. So by doing what he's doing, he's getting back to more of the point guard role, and that can kind of quiet that criticism. Now, it'll be even better if he gets more assists when guys make shots, but it's coming. He's working on it, and I'm happy. Like I said, that can silence that criticism. Jeremy again playing nice defense here in the third. A couple different defensive plays that I marked. Then the announcer said late in the third that Jordan Clarkson might be better as a shooting guard than a point guard, which is, I personally believe that to be the case. Jordan is an excellent ball handler, and he can distribute the ball, but he's so aggressive offensively going to the basket. I do think he'd be better as a shooting guard, and this goes to the point guard versus shooting guard. Sure, Jordan Clarkson could be like Russell Westbrook, but a lot of times you want your point guard to pass more. And Jordan's more of a scoring mentality, I think, than he is a passing mentality, whereas Jeremy's kind of a good mixture of the two. He can score, but he also can really pass and make great plays. And it's time for him to get recognized for that again than people trying to pigeonhole him as just somebody that can drive to the rim and score some points here and there. No, he's a point guard. He can make great plays. And I was happy with that. I like Jordan a lot. He's a tremendously talented player. He really is. I think he's going to be very good in the league. But what this sets up is, Jeremy's the point guard, instead of everybody trying to push Jeremy off the stage and put Jordan in as the point guard. So that's basically, I was okay with that sequence. Let's just put it that way. Okay, and then Tony Parker easily got by Jordan Clarkson for a layup. So as I said, Tony Parker was happy that Jeremy was out of the game. I can tell you that. That was clear. He had no problem getting by Jordan Clarkson and getting to the basket. Okay, moving into the fourth quarter. Jeremy began the fourth quarter on the bench. Again, they're trying to rest him. He didn't get a lot of rest in this game. He played 38 minutes, so he was only not on the court for 10 minutes of this game. Byron was just trying to get him rest anytime he could, and that's smart when you're without one of your point guards, and Ronnie Price. Yeah, and I put here early in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, the Tony Parker surge, because Tony got on a bit of a roll, mostly happened when Jeremy went out of the game, and we've seen this over and over again. Guys will run up stats, and they'll run them up when Jeremy's not playing. And then at the end of the game, it looks like they did great against Jeremy, but they didn't. It's humorous, all the stuff about Jeremy's defense. Okay, then let's see. Middle of the fourth, Jeremy came back into the game. He had come back into the game with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Then he had his third and final turnover. And what had happened was the Lakers were on a fast break, or in transition, I should say, not really a fast break. Fast break is when it's like you have an advantage, or you're at least even up on the defense. This was kind of it was a bit of a fast break. It wasn't a true fast break scenario. Jordan Hill was about 40 feet ahead of Jeremy, and Jeremy saw him coming down the left-hand side of the court. And Jeremy tried to make one of his half-court passes that we know he can do and that he's good at. It was just he thought Jordan was going to cut to the basket. And instead, Jordan kept running straight. And so Jeremy threw the ball to where he thought Jordan was going to go, but Jordan didn't go there. And so that was a turnover. Look, Jeremy throws fewer of those passes now than he used to, and that's probably good because they're high-risk passes, especially when you don't know your teammates. When you know your teammates and you've played with them for a long time and you know where they're going to be, then you can throw more of those. But when you don't know, you have to be more careful. So I'm actually glad that he does that less now than he used to because it's an easy way to get a bunch of turnovers. But the reason why Jeremy did it is the Lakers were down like 20 points. And I think Jeremy was looking for a momentum play because he thought he could get Jordan Hill and get him for an easy dunk. And then maybe the crowd could get into it and kind of turn the tide. But it wasn't. It didn't happen. And it was a turnover. As I said, though, I really didn't have a problem with any of his turnovers. Even that one, because I know what he was trying to do. He wanted to turn things around for the Lakers. It just didn't work. And Kawhi Leonard, again, can steal the ball from anybody pretty much whenever he wants if he really focuses on it. So that's what Jeremy found out again. And I expect that won't happen a lot in the future because Jeremy will be a lot more careful around Kawhi Leonard the next time. Okay, then Jeremy scored for the fifth time in the game. He got a little layup at the rim, middle of the fourth. Nice play there. Then he was fouled with no shots because he wasn't going for a shot at that point in time. Then he was fouled late in the fourth, got 2 free throws, made both of them, and played some good defense on Corey Joseph. And then he was fouled once more, was Jeremy, also late in the fourth, and he hit 2 free throws, and that was his final score of the game. So, just to wrap up, yeah, Lakers lost. Yes, they're 1-8. That's unfortunate. The offense just wasn't good enough. Kobe being sick. Some others weren't able to really pick up the slack. Jeremy played well. This is another game that you put in the books where Jeremy had a solid game. And so I'm at peace with it. Look, I'm not stunned by how the Lakers are doing. They would be doing better if they were healthy. If Julius Randle was playing and Steve Nash was playing and Nick Young was playing. So that's what it is. But knowing that they're struggling with their personnel and with injuries, I'm okay with this because Jeremy played well. So if the Lakers are going if they're going to have trouble, okay, then I'm going to focus more on Jeremy and how he's doing. He did well. He played a good, solid game. And this is why I know people are all down and they're all this and they're that, but just focus on, if you're a Jeremy Lin fan, focus on what he's doing and be able to see beyond the losses. He played a good game. This is another game that strengthens his credibility as a starter. He belonged out there. He looked good. He was poised. His confidence is improving because he's got another good performance under his belt. 15 points on 11 shots, that's fine. That's fine. That's pretty good. So again, there's no complaints from me on the stats at all, except the 3 turnovers, and we already talked about that. So I'm happy. I mean, given all the circumstances, I'm happy. And let's move on to the next game. Let's keep going. Jeremy's building his resume. He's looking solid here. He's improving. And he's going to feel better and better. And I'm things are moving the right way for Jeremy Lin and for the team. Look, the team will get healthier. Kobe's not going to be sick all the time. If Kobe weren't sick, I think they would have had a great chance to win this game. But guys get sick. That's the way it goes. Okay, the next game is coming up on Sunday, November 16th here in the United States. It will take place against the Golden State Warriors in Los Angeles, California. The game will take place in the U.S. at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that'll be taking place on early Monday, November 17th at 10:30 a.m. in China, Taiwan, and the Philippines. Golden State has kind of fallen off a little bit. The last time we saw them, they were unbeaten, and they looked like maybe the best team in the league. Now they've lost, I believe, 2 games in a row, or 2 games recently. It's still going to be a very tough matchup, and they will be heavily favored, will the Warriors, I'm sure. Let's see what the team can do. Let's see what Jeremy can do. Because I think that the Warriors game, the last time, if I'm remembering correctly, was the last time that Jeremy really had a tough game. So this is what I'm telling the people. Let's focus on the things you can focus on, which is, okay, and the Warriors might beat us and stuff. How does Jeremy do in the game? If you're a fan of his, how does he look in the game? Like focus on stuff like that, and hopefully there's a positive outlook there. Hopefully there's something like he'll play well. In the last game, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that was his toughest game of the season. He was 0 or 6, or certainly one of them. 0-6 field goals. He did have 6 free throws made, and he had 5 turnovers. So for Jeremy, of course, Jeremy's going in and he wants to win. Of course. I mean, that's goal number 1 above everything else. But for Jeremy, if whatever happens, he can look to improve his own personal performance. Since that game, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He's had 5 consecutive games scoring in double figures. 5 good games in a row. So the last bad game that he had was against the Warriors. So, again, as a JLin observer, I'm going to be looking. I hope the team wins. That would be great. That would be a huge win. That could make up for some bad feelings for everything else. I hope the team wins, but I'm going to be looking. Let's see how Jeremy does. Remember, after the Golden State game, Carlos Boozer said that thing about, hey, our guards can't be scared of the best players in the West. So now it's time for Jeremy to get a little get back against Steph Curry, come out, have a good game, and that's it. I said, I hope the team wins, but let's go out and get a good performance. Let's put the 0 for 6 field goals and everybody dissing you and should JLin start, put it in the rearview mirror. That's what Jeremy can do as an individual, as well as helping the team to win. That's the only bad game Jeremy's had this year, except for the first 2 games of the year. The first one was against Houston, and he was nervous. All the spotlights were on, and he's with a new team. So the first 2 games were back-to-back, Houston and Phoenix. He didn't play that great, neither one of those. To be fair to him, he only shot 5 times in each game. You can only do so much if you're shooting 5 times, in terms of scoring anyway. So those first 2 games, okay. Golden State's the only other game he didn't play well this year. Go out. Be aggressive. You can do things against Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry, when he hits shots, he's pretty unstoppable. Steph's a little loose with the ball. He will get turnovers. So get into him. All this talk about people saying you're scared or your own teammates, okay, go out there, get right on Steph. Try to draw a charge on him. Get up on him. And you go out and you get some offense and put some pressure on Steph. That's what I'm looking for on Sunday. And it's, again, I encourage Lin fans, look at the whole picture. Look at the whole picture. See how Jeremy's doing. If the team's not winning, see how Jeremy's doing. And look at him from game to game to see how he is adapting, improving, growing, etc. And that's, I think you'll be a lot more satisfied with things if you can look at it like that, instead of expecting, well, if the team doesn't win and I don't see insanity, Jeremy sucks. And I'm mad and I'm giving up on the Lakers and I'm giving up on the NBA. Let's one thing at a time. It's like if you're a parent, you have kids. You have young kids. They're not going to go from crawling on the floor to being a nuclear scientist in a week. It takes little steps. But look for the little steps with Jeremy. That is my advice, and I think you'll be a lot happier as a fan of him. He's doing great. Like I said, as somebody that's watched a tremendous amount of basketball, played a lot, and been around it, Jeremy is doing well. I'm extremely happy. Honestly, I couldn't be happier. And I surprised some people on Twitter. I'm like, look, I'm thrilled with how stuff's going because I'm seeing it from that perspective. I'm looking at it from a different perspective than a lot of people. He's doing great. So let's just keep going. Let's go out and get a good performance against Golden State and let's go from there. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. I'll put information in the video description below the video player so that you can check out highlights of this game. And so you know how you can come and follow us on Twitter and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group. Once again, I am Paula Villarreal, PFV, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. Tough loss, not unexpected. Kobe's sick. Jeremy performed well. Jeremy played well. And so, given the circumstances, I'm content. Let's move on to the Golden State game and try to put another performance in. Jeremy now he's overcoming this inconsistent label. So let's get another mark in the ledger of changing that inconsistent narrative. That's what I want to see on Sunday, and I'm feel pretty good that we're going to see that. So that's it. That's how I'm feeling, and that's what I'm looking at. And hopefully the team will win. That would be great. So take care. Hope you're having a great night, a great day, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. We will talk to you again soon.